Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Download Sleep. How you do? So, a lot of stuff happened last almost a week. Hurricane hit. I didn't lose power the entire time, but I did lose internet. So, woohoo! That's due to the city I live in having such a weird power grid. You see, the house I live in was one of the first houses in the neighborhood I live in. One of the original four. Well, there was a fifth, but that one burnt down because they only wanted insurance money. But anyway, it's one of the original five, I guess. It's connected to its power lines are different than the rest of the neighborhood because I had power. My neighbors had power. My direct neighbors had power, but some people on the other end of my side of the street didn't have power, and everyone on the other side of the street for me didn't have power either. And the people behind them didn't have power. Most of the neighborhood did not have power, beside one house out in the middle of out towards the other end of the neighborhood. One house had power. Um, Other areas around the city I live in didn't have power, but right next door to the place that didn't have power, there'd be power. But then next door to that would not have power. So the power grid's not standard. Other cities like Waycross and Valdalia, Jessup, their power grid is newer. They built the power grid to first, and then they built everything around the power grid. Statesboro's the same way. They built the power grid first, most of the power grid, and then they built around the power grid. Savannah is different. They built everything first, then they built the power grid. Because Savannah's an older city. So, go figure. So even if one part of Savannah loses power, there's a good chance that a random house in the middle of the blackout area would have power. But that's beside the point. By the way, the image for this video is that guy from the Scooby-Doo Alien Invaders movie, because I like him. He's my spirit animal. He's who I wish to be in my old age. Just some random dude living in an area that is known for UFOs or some weird stuff, and me telling people, "Hey, come over. I got pictures." And it's literally just me drawing pictures by hand. And I think that would be a good life. I think that would be a good life indeed. I still gotta move the image every now and again. Refreshes the lockout. So, still playing War Within. I messed up my Great Vault. I picked out an item to upgrade into tier when I should have just picked out, an upgrade for a pair of pants I had, because I got my chest piece is 590 something. I think 596, 598, somewhere around that. And the new chest piece I got is 618 or 619, one of the two. So it's a big upgrade for me. The pants I have is 65, 64, and the upgrade I could have got for that one would have been 598. I should have gone for the pants instead of the chest piece for one reason. I can't make the chest piece tier yet because I don't have any of the material to make it into tier right now. So that's great. I had to wait till next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday to upgrade it. Yay. But that's my own fault for not paying attention and not knowing how that works anyway. I didn't know how that worked, and now I do. I can do tier 8 with no problem. Well, no problem in the delves, but it just takes a while. Be an arcane bear and whatnot. There are other videos that I made that do cover the updates, but I haven't posted them because of pure laziness. So potentially before this one gets out, I'm gonna have the other ones uploaded. So hopefully that's there. This is more of a journal at this point. So, work with it. So this is the part where I've managed to talk long enough about other things that now most of the bots won't catch it. So this is hopefully has been manually reported, so less likely to get struck down anytime soon. So I'm gonna talk political for a minute. Well, for the rest of us, because political stuff is interesting to me, because it, it's the best way to immediately cause chaos in a situation in which you can sit back and just let things go. Now, first off, get out of the way, I'm voting for Trump, because even though I adore the third party, and I think a third party just getting a third party into office be the best thing ever, the problem is the risk of Kamala getting in office is too high. That voting third party is not an option this year, unfortunately. I would love for so many people who don't want to vote for Trump or Kamala just vote third party, but they're not going to, and I'm one of them. Oh well. But let's just go over a few things that's going on around the great United States, mainly affecting me here in Georgia. We had Hurricane Helen that came in and messed stuff up. It's caused me to have I've clocked in a lot of miles on the rental vehicle I'm in right now, because my van has officially been declared going to be sold for scrap. The transmission was dying apparently, and $10,000 to replace the transmission. My company said no, so yeah, I'm in a rental until they get the vehicle down to me, which might be tomorrow. I don't know yet. I hope they bring another vehicle down for me. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, but I've been putting in a lot of overtime last few days, just covering stuff after the hurricane. Just going through and trying to check to see what has power, what doesn't have power, especially the first Friday afterwards. Because I didn't get a day off. I immediately went back to work the next day. I know. I was lucky that way. But most of the day was spent me trying to go to locations to figure out if they had power. St. Simon's didn't have power. Sorry, not St. Simon. St. Mary's didn't have power. I could tell that before I even got to the very end of St. Mary's, where I needed to go, because their power lines snapped by trees. Not the power line is caught the tree. No, the tree went through the power lines, tore them in half. So that was something. The other locations we went to, either they didn't have power, just got power back, or they didn't have internet. So a lot of stuff got pushed back off onto me to do during Saturday, which, yeah, that I had a very busy Saturday and a very busy Sunday. I didn't get much done at home, which still has set me back quite a bit. But tonight's my last night working for my week, and I just work tomorrow, and most likely just going to work. I might just work a few hours tomorrow and just clock out extremely early, because I have the overtime, so I can not worry about that. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how busy I get tomorrow. But as for the political stuff, let's get into that. North Carolina is yeah, Asheville, North Carolina. That's gone. That's going to be gone. So there's already reports of people getting offers. Some people showing up offering cash for their property rights, for the property that's underwater, and that's disturbing. There's other reports. Once again, this is stuff that is being heard from third party, because they just still don't have good service out there. So anything coming in is stuff that you have to these people going to areas that are around Asheville that still have service somehow, and reporting these to other people. I don't think any TikTok creator is getting direct information from Asheville. I highly doubt it. So keep that in mind. But I do believe that the idea that someone would go in and start offering money for the land that's underwater and destroyed is very likely, due to two things. One, Asheville sits on top of lithium. A lot of it too, apparently. and quartz as well. A lot of quartz are in the ground around Asheville too. Now, that's both very important for a number of things. One, batteries, and two, microchips. Uh-oh. Then you got what happened in Hawaii not too long ago, in which a fire started and suddenly all these cars just went up immediately. People died, burned to death in their cars. Cars liquefied in some areas, but the asphalt remained untouched, and other things caught fire, but then you had those random blue trash cans that survived all the fire. Weird. The blue umbrellas that survived all the fire, but everything around the umbrellas burnt. Melted. Weird. The random buildings with blue on the roof surviving, but nothing else did. Weird. And then all the missing children and missing people and all of this amount of people missing. Weird. Asheville sits on top of the lithium. Asheville, the lithium, there's a contract, government contract, to mine the lithium. Now, the only reason they haven't mined the lithium yet was because, well, a town was there, but also the line was supposed to be fully operational by 2030. And they projected in 2025 is when they're going to start the construction of the mine. I'm sorry, there's a town in the way. Asheville, it's not that Asheville sits on, part of Asheville sits on top of the lithium deposit. No, the lithium deposit is supposed to be a good portion underneath, it's supposed to be kind of underneath the town itself. Not just a few buildings in the town, like most of the town is on top of the lithium deposit. So mining underneath the town is how you destroy foundations and have cars on the streets just fall into your mine shaft. You don't do that. Now, the whole offering to buy your house, I believe that 100%. Offering to buy your destroyed house, destroyed property, I 100% believe that. For a number of reasons. One, I constantly get calls almost every day offering a cash offer to buy my house. Now, my house isn't worth that much. Damn well it isn't worth what it's supposed to be worth. But it's the only reason why I am not going with it. One, because the money, even if I get the full amount my house is supposedly worth to sell my house and move somewhere else, I'm not doing it because I don't think I can afford to move. But the other reason is why I'm worried about the whole thing is because I know what's going to happen to my house. It's going to be demolished. Like, if my neighbors sell, their house is going to be demolished too. And all the houses in the neighborhood are being bought up and either flipped into rentals, or what happened to one section of the neighborhood, bought up, houses demolished, and it stays vacant until they get the remaining properties around them. They want to build apartment buildings in our area. Originally, years ago, a bunch of houses sold on the other side of us that faced a major street. All those houses sold. This is before I moved there, so this is when my grandparents lived there. So all those houses sold, and they turned those into business areas. They were trying to make a massive business, this massive business strip. Well, only a couple of houses sold, so they only able to build 2 businesses. One of them is abandoned, and half of another one is abandoned. No one uses the property. The remaining houses, the owners didn't want to sell, so now they're trying again. Now, a lot of Savannah has people. You can drive around Savannah and see a lot of houses, a lot of flyers saying, "We'll buy your house for cash." Almost every house that's across the street from me right now is being rented out, not sold, being rented. See, there's more money in renting than there is selling, because you can constantly charge more for the rental price, which sucks. I don't like renting. I hope I never have to rent again, because I don't like the fact that every couple of months my rent can go up, which, yeah, that sucks. But moving on back, trying to focus back into what's going on with what with the tactics of trying to buy people's land out in North Carolina, that possibly that most likely is happening. It's an easier way to do that than have to seeds do eminent domain, which is what our government has done in the past when it comes to certain areas. Like if you have a cat, like if back when, uh, back probably back before we had mass media as quickly as we do now, it was nothing for the government to go in buy land out like Area 51. Every so often they increase the area around Area 51, which is government owned. They do this by eminent domain. They had the base, and then they said, okay, the area around the base is ours, and they kept constantly increasing out the distance. Technically, if you owned a piece of property in the area they bought out or were trying to buy out, they could claim eminent domain unless you had unless you had met certain requirements. That's honestly how eminent domain works. If there's a natural disaster, the government can go ahead and claim eminent domain over the entire area and pay you out what the value of the property was at one point, or what you paid for the property, or the taxes of what the property was valued at on the last time it was actually properly valued. So if you haven't had your property revalued in, I don't know, 20 years, you're getting how the property was worth 20 years ago compared to what it's worth now. That's how that works. And that's honestly if they decide to pay you at all. Because there are people missing in North Carolina. Weird. Not as weird as it can be, because, they didn't have a massive flood because the dam broke. Just weird the whole situation in Asheville is weird. Here's the quotation parts, the parts which has very little evidence, because we're not seeing these videos. We're not seeing this information for ourselves. We're hearing it from people on TikTok saying it's true. That's the biggest issue right there. Of supply trucks trying to get into Asheville to deliver supplies, and are getting to the people around Asheville who evacuated out Asheville last minute or got out a different way after the flooding. But saying that the trucks are having their tires slashed, the vehicles are getting the tires slashed as they're trying to deliver supplies. That's the weird thing, is where are all the videos of people doing this? I can't go on TikTok, can't go on YouTube, can't go anywhere and see these videos. Either they're not being posted because they don't exist, which is surprising if it's all happening, or they're being taken down faster before anyone can really see them. Which, that's a little bit harder to believe. I know there's some advanced content finders, advanced AI that can sit there and find anything like that and just immediately drop it. Oh, tire damage, flat, gone. Tire going flat, gone. They have AI that can actually find that. But there should have been something by now that I would have seen, or anyone would have seen and reposted. It's just weird. You have the guy who was flying the helicopter to go deliver supplies to people in Tennessee, being told if he continues to be arrested by the fire department. That's weird. Then let's go ahead and cover the more political side of the president's candidates going into those areas. You had Trump go into North Carolina with $900,000 worth of supplies and material to help rebuild, or at least help the people out who are kind of have everything gone now: food, water, medicine, general supplies. He did that on his own. He didn't use his campaign money. He did that from his own pocket. And I was saying, well, he's a billionaire. Why doesn't he use more of his money? That's the thing. Trump doesn't have No billionaire has $1 billion available at one time. They don't. They have assets that they have to sell off in order to accumulate the money. That's where most wealth comes from. Most of the wealthy don't actually have all that money on person. They have things they can sell to access that money. It's a big old thing. But then you have Kamala, who Kamala and Biden, who, instead of going there to, order National Guards and everything else, the National Guard for Tennessee, North Carolina, National Guard for Tennessee was shipped out to the Middle East. The day that it was finally issued, the National Guard was to help. National Guard was already gone. North Carolina, similar thing. The governor's missing. He's not dead. The governor of Tennessee isn't dead. They're just not answering their phone, supposedly. But you just have a lot of stuff. You have our current president and vice president spending more time on their respective things. You got Biden, not helping really, not sending any aid down there. FEMA reporting they have no money because FEMA spent all their money on immigration stuff. And then you have Kamala, instead of stopping what she's campaigning to immediately get to the North Carolina with supplies and everything else and organized supplies runs, she finally shows up in Augusta with the Red Cross to hand out food that the Red Cross brought. There's a big difference between Trump bringing aid and food to an area, Trump paying for all of it and coming to an area with just volunteers, and then you have Kamala showing up to hand out food at a place that already had the food to hand out. Didn't bring anything. Oop. So the magic card real quick. There's a big difference, and yeah, between that and watching any interview of Kamala is hilarious. Just, it's magical. I do recommend, if you want to fully experience the political landscape of the United States, even if you're already dead set on voting for Kamala, or just doing the never Trump thing, I recommend drinking. Don't get high. Drink until you're tipsy. Not black out. Don't do a bunch of shots. Get a nice beer or a cider, or if you are going to drink spirits, cut it with water. And drink to the point where you can feel the alcohol and you're starting to get a little bit tipsy, but you're not going to get drunk. You can still move around and talk, but you're tipsy. And then just watch Kamala talk. Just watch her. Listen to what she says. And tell me at the end of that if you feel like that is a good idea. If what she says is a good idea. Because she doesn't say a whole lot of what she's going to do. She just brings up she's from the middle class. Or she changes her accent to fit certain issues. Or the fact that you have different news outlets that keep making her whiter and whiter and whiter in their screenshots of her. It's weird. It's all weird. The fact that Trump's had 2 assassination attempts. One actually got shots off, and the second one didn't get shots off. That's weird. Hell, honestly, I'm surprised there wasn't another assassination attempt in North Carolina. To be honest, I'm surprised there wasn't another one, because he's out there exposed. All the trees are knocked down. There's plenty of places to hide. That would have... I don't know why, but I'm glad there wasn't. He probably... I need to stop that. Alright, back to WoW. WoW is one of the few places I can actually go to and read chat and just get all these different opinions. WoW is extremely left-leaning when it comes to their, game politics and the people who actually play the game. They're extremely left-leaning. Um, which is always weird, especially if you join a guild and the people in the guild have an obvious different opinion than you when it comes to politics, which is weird. Former friend Chris, he had a friend he uh, introduced us to named James. He was he got mad at me because me and one of the other mutual friends we had, Charles, we were just, joking around, doing, just telling worse and worse and worse jokes back and forth between the two of us while we're playing Minecraft, of all things. And this was only like 2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago. And he got so upset, James got so upset, that he threatened to not play Minecraft with us anymore. So I realized immediately who it was, because it was the one who got quiet. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I'll tell him I'm sorry, and I sent him an apology through Discord saying, hey, I'm sorry I got you upset. But the thing is, he wasn't upset because we were making fun of him in any way possible. He was upset because we're making fun of people in general. Telling dead baby jokes, telling cripple jokes, telling, honestly, sorry. Fuck, I can't go over there. Well, guess I'm cruising through. Sorry, I moved over to get from behind a semi, just to realize that there was a bunch of another semi on the side of the road with hazards on, but I couldn't get back over because I couldn't tell where the truck. I couldn't tell if there was another car in the lane because I was being blinded by another truck. Driving at night's dangerous sometimes, but it's over. It's ultimately fine. But yeah, I love dealing with people who have a political viewpoint and get mad if you bring up politics at all, but they have no problem bringing up politics because it's their politics. The Drunken Peasants is a podcast I used to love watching until they did the split, and then you had Billy the Fridge on all the time, and I don't like Billy the Fridge. I don't. The whole kayfabe thing where Billy the Fridge supposedly threw piss on Paul, and they played off, oh, it didn't actually happen, it actually happened, Paul shoved Billy the Fridge. I 100% think that Billy threw piss on Paul, because that seems like the kind of humor Billy has. And the fact that I 100% think that the only reason that Billy didn't, try to sue Paul or threaten or anything that happened to Paul legally was because they probably paid Billy Fridge to calm down. I honestly do think that, or at least promised them to be on the show more, to make money off the show. Because shortly after that, and they announced that everything's fine, Billy was on the show a lot more, and he was during the 24-hour things that they did. He was on more often, and now he's co-host of the show. Don't much like it. TJ Paul, and Scotty went off to do their own show, Deep Fat Fried, which I do like watching. I watched a lot more when it first came out. I kind of stopped watching as much. It was mainly due to the paywall. The paywall bit was the paywall thing was pretty much why I kind of stopped watching. But that's my own reason. They still make great content. A few things I watch. Unfortunately, they started making a lot more list episodes, and they did a 12-hour long live stream, which was mainly just a list they were doing. Not the best content, honestly, but hey, it's what they do. I liked them better when they did the Drunken Peasants format, where they bring on guests. They would talk about news stories. Now they just pick a topic and talk about the topic, which it depends on the topic. But yeah, great. listening to them talk about their politics, it's funny because Paul's weird when it comes to politics. The whole thing is that the whole thing about Paul is that he just doesn't want to vote. If you just don't vote, they can't win, which is a mentality of if you don't vote, your vote can't be used to vote for. When you have the two evils, don't vote, or don't vote for the two evils. Vote for someone else. Vote for the great third party, which honestly is a better idea. People say, "Oh, you're throwing away your vote." No. If you vote, you don't throw away your vote. That's the main thing. Using your vote is not throwing it away. Not using your vote is not throwing it away. It's your choice to do what you want with your vote. You vote for Trump, and he loses, you didn't waste your vote. You voted for Trump. You vote for Kamala, and she loses, you didn't waste your vote, but you still lost. You vote for one of the third-party candidates, you didn't waste your vote. It shows us interest in the third-party candidates, which means that potentially they might be able to be in the presidential debates. They have to get 10% of the vote. They have to get 10% of the vote to be for that particular party to be it's something 10% for them to be considered part of the presidential debates, which is really where some of these third-party candidates will shine. But not happening this year. Might not happen next election either. Might not happen for a few more elections. But eventually, one of the third parties are going to have enough votes to where they will be able to be in the presidential debates, be in the presidential debates. I'm losing my ability to talk already. Holy shit. But that may be fun, right? But Paul versus Vosh. Paul versus Vosh. Listening to the two of them debate or yell at each other was hilarious. Watching, I only know about them having streams together because of the Reddit, and that was fun to watch. Just Paul try to explain anything, and just the sheer density that Vosh puts up, saying that he doesn't understand this or he shuts down. That's the main issue I have with some people, is if you try talking to them, get an idea across to them, they can't focus on the idea and actually understand the idea itself. That's honestly a cause. That's honestly what happens when someone doesn't get taught critical thinking properly. I know what you think. Critical thinking. What does that mean? It means using your mind, using your thoughts, using your ability to think, to see a problem and deconstruct it in your mind and understand the reasoning behind something. For instance, here's a thought experiment. This will help you develop critical thinking. I want you to imagine an apple. A red apple with one leaf coming from the stem on top of the apple. The leaf is bright green, the greenest green leaf you've ever seen. That's that color of the leaf. And the apple is the perfect red apple. Alright? Make the apple blue now. Sapphire blue. Now make it green. Emerald green. It's an emerald green apple with that bright green leaf attached to the stem on top. Now, by default, most people think that apple as flat, no dimension behind it. It's a flat picture. Now I want you to imagine the apple turning into a 3D image, and it's slowly rotating. This green apple with the leaf. Split the apple in half. Now you have two halves spinning. You have one spinning clockwise and one spinning counterclockwise. The two halves are spinning. Now I want you to split them again in half. This time, instead of splitting down the middle horizontally, split them not vertically. Instead of splitting it down vertically, split horizontally. So now you have 4 quarters spinning. You have the top one spinning clockwise, the bottom one spinning counterclockwise. Now I want you to swap places with the top left and the bottom right. Swap those pieces around, but keep the rotation going, the correct locate, go in the same direction they're supposed to be going. So both tops go clockwise, both bottoms go counterclockwise. Now, make the apples red. Back to the original red. Now, if you're able to keep track of that and not, feel your head start to hurt, congratulations, you have a developed critical thinking skill. If your head's starting to hurt or you find it hard to do so, it's because your critical thinking skill ability is not, you haven't worked on it in a while. It's not your fault. It's the world we live in. Thought experiments like that, or training your brain by basic picturing things and slowly manipulating them, is a trait that has to be worked on. You have to develop it. It's not something you're really born with. You have to actually develop that ability to do that. And the problem is that a lot of people, when you try to explain an idea to them, and you're dumbing the idea down so much to them to the bare bones of the idea, and they just cannot understand the idea. It's not because they don't have interest. It's less of them not having interest in what you're talking about. It's more of them not being able to process the idea. They're not able to think enough about the idea to actually get to a point where they can understand it. And that's a big problem with America. That's a big problem with a lot of countries, is that critical thinking to that degree is not taught as much. And we need to work on that. But back to Paul and Vosh. The two of them a lot of Paul's arguments break down to his life opinions, his life experience, which, yeah, you can do that to a degree. You can use life experience because if that's the only thing you have to argue with, that's the only thing you gotta argue with. But saying that life experience doesn't matter at all is kind of a dick move. There's just so much stuff when it comes to debating that's considered a fallacy. Oh, you can't do this because it's a fallacy. Strawman fallacy. All this other stuff. Strawman fallacies are the only thing I really think is a valid thing you should not do. And personal experiences are something you should be prepared to. If you use it, you should be prepared to have to defend it, or be prepared to have it be denounced. Because yes, personal experiences can be a powerful thing to use to debate or argue with someone, but you have to understand that personal experiences are just that. They're personal experiences. And they're very easy to just make up and just have them be the ultimate gotcha thing. So try to stay away from personal experiences the best you can when you argue with someone. But the straw man one is the most annoying. Essentially, you list your argument, and then someone applies that argument to something completely different, and say, you're arguing this. For instance, dogs... Let's go on. Thinking, sorry. Dogs should not be allowed with 100 miles of chocolate, because chocolate's deadly for them. Strawman for that. Okay, so we should just ban chocolate outright because dogs cannot have chocolate. That's not what you argued, but that's what they're saying. That's a straw man. Essentially, they take your argument, put it on something else, and then you have to argue against your own argument, which is taken out of context. That's straw man. And some people, if you watch, especially if you watch on YouTube, watch all the YouTube stuff you want, TikTok, Twitch, or anything else, all your debating channels, or people who like to argue their viewpoints, a lot of them use straw men to defend their arguments or to attack someone else's argument. If you watch Destiny, you'll see him do it. Asmongold did it years ago. He doesn't do it. I haven't seen him do it late in the last few years, so he might have gotten over it. But you have other YouTubers who do that, like Vosh. Vosh will throw up as many straw men as he fucking can to defend his viewpoint because that's what he does. The list goes on. I'm sure you can find. I don't know very many because I don't particularly watch those channels that often. I see clips of them and I might watch an episode or two of their stuff, but I don't stick around very long. But yeah, just watching people debate over politics is fun, especially if they're just two spurgs on the internet. It's hilarious because once they start getting emotional behind it, that's when things get real fun. Because then they'll start saying the most insane, unhinged stuff. Like Destiny saying that we should have the equivalent of medical child porn that is used by the government to rehabilitate, or at least give convicted people who actually are attracted to children a way to view it medicinally. So medicinal child porn. That's the thing Destiny said. That's the thing Destiny said was okay. I just want everyone to know that that's something Destiny was for. No matter how far he gets in life, no matter how many years pass, he was for that idea. He was saying that we should do that. And he can say all he wants that that's not what he meant. He was being sarcastic, he was being satirical. No, he meant it. He meant it. The way Destiny argues, the way Destiny said that so casually, he meant it. Oh, Destiny. I don't particularly like Destiny. I don't particularly like a lot of debating channels. Paul is fun to listen to because I mainly like Paul from Drunken Peasants. DFF, because of Storytime with Paul, because the stories are funny. I listened to him do a creepypasta called Pills. He's pretty good for that. I honestly do think Paul has an issue. He's too far up his own ass. He is. Paul is too far up his own ass sometimes. It's not really his fault. It's more to do with the fact that he doesn't have someone to go after. That's the main thing. Paul is a very combative person when it comes to information. He has to have a target to go after. And when he doesn't, that's when he starts fucking up. Like going after TJ's viewpoint or going after someone else's viewpoint. He can't take. If Paul doesn't have a target to go after, he starts turning on his friends. At least that's what we see on the streams they do. Well, videos they release. They don't do streams anymore. Sadly. I would love for them to do another election stream. I would love to see Mr. Medica do an election stream this year if he's feeling well enough. I don't think he's going to because his whatever he has is because it keeps adding. It keeps getting more bad stuff happen to him, like his spine disintegrating, him existing and breaking a rib, him breathing too hard and breaking a rib, his immune system going completely down, ears going deaf in his ears, going blind, getting what is it? It's not tetanus. It's the ringing in the ears. Is it tetanus? No, that's Rush tetanus shot. It's I cannot remember the medical term right now. I have it every now and again. The ringing in the ear. I don't know. But Mr. Maker's just a mess. I would love for him to do another election stream because that was hilarious. To me, the best election stream, the best stream I like to go back to on Drunken Peasants every now and again and watch is the 2016 election stream, because TJ and Scotty did a bet for $1,000 on who was going to be president, who was going to win the election. Oh, that was great. That was great because they were successfully calling states long before any of the news networks did. because the ones that were against Trump didn't want to call any states with Trump until like 20, 40, 50 an hour after it was already, they already knew they went to Trump, and Fox didn't want to call any states that went to anyone else, that went to Hillary Clinton until they had a wild for everyone else to already know that the state went to Clinton. So it was fun. News bias is always fun to watch in real time. Oh boy. I am registered to vote, and I already said I'm voting for Trump, so that's a plus for me. I don't know. I'm hoping Trump wins, because honestly at this point something different would be great. I can't do another 4 years of the same stuff going on right now. I can't. I slowly built up a small collection of books that I can use to, subsidize food, subsidize energy and water collection, stuff like that, but not really do that good. I don't have a bug out plan, because I can't do that. I have two small children and a autistic wife, so trying to do a bug out plan is not very good. So yeah. Plus, until stuff starts affecting me more every day, the day after the election is just another day. It's just literally just one more day for me. I can't move to another country. I got a family. I'm not gonna move to another country just because my candidate doesn't win. Though Russia has offered to let anyone who wants to move into the country. You just pronounce your citizenship, move into Russia, which honestly might not be a bad idea in some cases. Am I just gonna flat out abandon the United States and move to Russia? Probably not. That's a big fucking decision to make. But it's there for people who want it. People who want to move to another country. Russia's available. That's always, and Russia did that with Ukraine before. Well, what they did to Ukraine, what they've been trying to do to Ukraine. So that's something to think about. But yeah, these next few months are gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be, it's just gonna be one hell of a show, honestly. Oh, I didn't get to the ports. Holy, I forgot about the ports. Yeah, the fucking port, the Longshoremen Union, those guys. The guy in charge didn't become in charge. He's a great worker. No, fuck that. There's a good chance he was, quote unquote, voted in. The way he talks. You can Google him and his house. You can find his house, pictures of his house. That's a McMansion. He has a McMansion for his house. He made a high $700,000. He made $700,000 last year, plus a bonus that kicked him up to a big enough bonus that kicked him up to $900,000. And he's asking for a 77% more on top of all that. I don't think he needs that 77%. I don't think he does, because I don't think he actually works out on the ports anymore. I think he legitimately has a desk job somewhere. There's no fucking way there's no way he has a job out on the port anymore. He out actually moving things, doing things. No. I do think that 77% is a little high. 50% was probably the was probably a great option they should have took. Because most of the union people say the argument is that they bust their ass, they work for COVID and all this stuff. They watch people die. I don't think there were many longshoremen who actually died because of COVID. But that I don't know that for facts. But what I do know is when the president of that union says that as long as I'm here, no automation's coming in. And as long as my son's here, no automation's coming in. So his son's in the union too. I have a feeling his son is I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure his son is high up there in the union. And if something happened, if his father decided to retire, his son takes over presidency of the union. I'm pretty sure he's going to be voted in to be the new president of the union. Which makes that a monarchy! A union monarchy. Just the way